Were you a big proponent, Bruce, of maybe having a bread and butter run play on 3rd and 2, having a couple of guys you could run behind that you were confident in? Is that important for you going forward?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's we're going to run the ball right here, come stop us. It's an attitude thing. You got to know your matchups. The running game is so matchup oriented now, especially if you're getting into short yardage stuff. But yeah, we've got a couple of bread and butter plays that we run over 150 times during the season from a bunch of different formations, but it's the same blocking scheme, and that's where we hang our hat.
Okay, next up is going to be Greg Allman.
Hey, Bruce, you talked about having all these young guys at outside linebacker trying to make an impression here. What have you seen from Quentin Bell so far?
A lot of speed, learning the position. It's totally new to him. He was a wide receiver. Now he's 250 or 260, but he still runs a 4.4. So the thing for him is to continue to develop a pass rush skill, more than one move. Speed isn't just enough. And Shaq's helping him a lot with that because they're similar type slippery guys. And he should make a niche on special teams with that speed.
All right, next is going to be Ed Encino.
Bruce, I know you mentioned him a couple of times. What has stood out about Chappelle Russell so far in camp?
Well, he came in great condition. He's one of those guys that's been through a lot in college with the injuries, but he's in great shape. He's a very bright guy. He obviously did a great job with all the virtual learning. Some guys can't learn that way. Others can. He was one that could. He came in knowing the defense pretty solidly, and he's been able to show up on the field.
Okay, next is going to be Scott Reynolds.
Hey, Bruce, just wanted to get your thoughts today on red zone. It looked like Brady and the offense were winning early on, and then the defense kind of came back late. Just your overall impressions of what you saw from your team.
Yeah, it was a good, solid period. I mean, it was a whole day of red zone, and, I think both sides, a lot of times when they're dropping 8, one time they dropped 9, it's hard to find somebody open, but there's nobody rushing either. So it gets give and take, but I thought the execution on both sides was pretty good.
Is it one of those things with the connection with Brady and his receivers and the red zone that he just knows where he wants to go pre-snap and find the right matchup?
Yeah, I think the defense dictates where the ball goes. And, you can say you got a matchup, but they can double him. A couple of times they went double and doubled Mike and Chris, and we got to find the other guys. And Tom's real good at finding that. We had some new things that we didn't run last year that we looked at today, and we were a little slow at finding where the open spots were, but they're going to be on tape, and we'll see where the open spots were. One was actually an interception, but it's just something that we're learning from.
Okay, next is going to be Rick Stroud.
Hey, Bruce, can you talk about the year that Ryan Jensen had last season, how he seemed to get even better, and this relationship that centers have with quarterbacks, particularly when it has to do with keeping balls dry and things like that? Tom seems pretty particular. Have you dealt with that combination before?
Yeah, I've had a number of guys that could not stand to have sweat on the ball. And it's Tom's got a very unique way with the towels and the talcum powder, and Ryan's a center, so he's buying in. They kind of got that worked out over Berkeley, and when we're outside, it's hard to keep them dry. Boy, there's a lot of sweat going on, and so yeah, it's fun, but sooner or later it's going to be a wet one. You got to throw it, and Tom gets pissed if it's not a spiral. So that's going to happen sometimes.
And you thought Jensen played really well last year, right?
What's that?
You thought Jensen played really well last year?
I thought he played really, really solid. He eliminated all those penalties, and I thought he was the leader of offensive line last year.
All right, next is going to be Jenna Lane.
Hey, Coach, after a few days of practice going against Tom Brady, what are your thoughts on how your secondary is faring going against him, and how can he help them improve?
Yeah, I think the secondary is doing a good job. They got their hands on some balls on all the quarterbacks, and doing a good job of when they have a possible interception of catching it and breaking plays up. We got a very physical bunch of young guys back there, and they're making it hard. It's not an easy chore when you got Mike and Chris over there playing man to man, but they're doing a heck of a job.
What about going against a quarterback like Brady, who gets rid of the ball so quickly and makes these just split decisions so fast?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing we're going to see with Drew Brees, so it's a real good learning process.
Okay, next is going to be Luke Easterling.
Bruce, every year, every team, it seems like, has an undrafted free agent or two that kind of stands out early on. It feels like Parnell Motley has been one of those guys so far, making some big plays. Just wanted your thoughts on him so far and where you could see him maybe earning a roster spot.
Yeah, he's done a real good job. He's very, very quick, and he can catch the ball, so he's not one of those DBs that's batting it down. He's catching it. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. Special teams will determine for him. Battling those guys like Ryan Smith, who's a stud on special teams, and maybe getting into that fifth or sixth corner, whether it's a fifth safety or a fifth corner, whoever it is, on special teams will just determine his lot.
When those guys don't have those splash plays on defense and you are looking at special teams, what are maybe some of the things that you're looking at for them to stand out in those special teams periods to say that this is a guy who's going to stick?
Well, if you can't be blocked as a gunner, that's number one. If they can't block you and you're down there and making fair catches, that's a pretty solid job for you if you can do that. The other thing is be a core player. You got to play on 4 or 5 phases to be able to make the ball club on Sunday.
All right, next is going to be Kevin O'Donnell.
Hey, Bruce, I know we talked a lot about the improvements with the defense in the second half of the season, and obviously Devin White got off to a slow start with his injury, but what did you specifically see from him down the stretch that really stood out to you?
Well, he had a great understanding of what he was doing. He's playing extremely fast, obviously making a bunch of splash plays with the fumble recovers, the touchdowns, interception, the things that he's capable of doing. I think he ran the show very well, and did a heck of a job of tackling better the second half of the season than it did in the first. And, that knee brace was really hard for him to play with, and once he got that off, we saw what we were looking for.
I know you said yesterday there was a lot of trash talking going on. I think, is he one of the leaders in the defense in that category?
He's just a fiery guy. He's not talking a lot of trash to the offense. Nacho's the leader of that. He's the best trash talker we got on defense right now, and some of the DBs. But Nacho does the best job over there.
All right, next is going to be Steve Isbitz.
Coach, Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting, I'm sure you expect them to make big leaps this year. What do you see on their practice film so far that stands out?
Progression from last year. I mean, they came in and there's no drop off from where they left the season when they were playing at an extremely high level. They're both bright players. They study the heck out of the game and just continue to improve. And it's easy to improve when you're going against the quality of receivers that we have. So it's an all-day chore every day when you get out there, but they're improving steadily, especially their knowledge of the game and pattern reading and everything else.
And the rain pushing you inside today, is that any kind of setback for your overall evaluation, or did you plan on having a couple of these days? How does that go?
Yeah, it was. We could have went outside. We needed the air conditioning today, and we've had some pretty hot days in a row. Just the rehydration, staying in the air conditioning. It was a red zone day anyway, and didn't need anybody slipping out there and pulling a muscle.
All right, next is going to be Greg Allman.
Hey, Bruce, in the absence of preseason games, I want to ask you if you've scheduled kind of more official down and distance type scrimmages to get the urgency and the game situations you don't get with no games.
Yeah, we'll have at least 1 to 2 a week, but we're going to have a game in the stadium, 2 of them actually, so that we're in the stadium and the lights are on and then everything's playing and there's everything that's game ready. So we can know the stadium's ready too, but to get in that atmosphere and play a game, live special teams, live offense, defense, and we'll try to do 2 of those.
Okay, next is going to be Rick Stroud.
Hey, Bruce, we didn't see Jason Pierre-Paul. I guess he's on the side. I didn't see Sue at all. Are those guys getting some days off this early?
Yeah, this is scheduled days off for those guys that, especially in spiders, they don't need that work today.
Hey, when you look at Levante David and at his age, do you see any discernible slowdown at all with this guy? Are you kind of surprised how fast he is at this age?
No, he looks like he's 25. I mean, it's amazing what he can do. And, his diagnose ability of plays and using his speed, there's no drop off whatsoever. He takes great care of himself.
And next is going to be Tom Krasnicki.
Good morning, Bruce. My question's about Tom Brady and the influence that he has on the playbook. And have you picked his brain in terms of incorporating some of those concepts that make him most comfortable?
We did that a long time ago. The biggest thing was learning what we do, learning our language. And then he and I sat down a while back and what were his favorite concepts. We had most of them already in our offense. We just called them something different. And that's been a good collaboration so far, but that took place way back.
Okay, next is going to be Steve Isbitz.
Coach, LeSean McCoy, does he look like Shady McCoy of 4 or 5 years ago? How would you tell fans he looks?
I think he looks fantastic. When you look at his tape from last September, October, he was still shady. He looks like the same guy. He made a couple of great moves today, especially on a pass route versus one-on-one on linebacker. And he looks good. We just got to make sure we keep him fresh.
All right, we have time for a couple more. Next is going to be Luke Easterling.
Coach, I know it's a struggle without the preseason games to get a certain look at those younger guys, but are you looking forward to having that expanded practice squad to maybe at least keep some of those guys on hand for a longer period of time?
Yeah, that's definitely where they're going to get their look, a lot of them, and to continue to grow and learn the game. I mean, they just miss so much time, not just on the field time, but meeting time and situational football time that we preach so much. And it's a good rule, and hopefully we can continue it in the future.
You guys were also, kind of lucky, I guess, to not have too many people opt out. You just had Brad Seaton opt out. Is there a reserve tackle that's kind of you've seen flash so far that could step up into his role?
Well, Josh Wells looks really good. He put on 20 pounds and he looks really good. Joe Haig. I mean, I think we're very, very solid at tackle. That's not a concern of mine. We've got 4 pretty solid tackles.
Okay, our last question is going to come from Scott Reynolds.
Hey. Kind of Dare's role last year on third down, but how has Ronald Jones improved in pass protection?
I missed the whole first half of that one.
Let me ask it again. Just wanted to get your thoughts on pass protection from your running backs. Who stood out, and how much has Ronald Jones improved in the area of pass protection?
Rojo's done a great job so far, and all of them, they're not afraid to put their face in the fan and jump in there. We're not turning guys loose. I mean, I'm impressed with where we're at right now. We haven't been in pads enough to have a really good backs on backers drill like we normally do, and that's always the toughest drill in camp. And we'll have that probably next week.
Thank you.
All right, that's all for today. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.